So yeah, title pretty much sums up where this is going.
I, 23M, had been dating Carly, not her real name, but close enough that if she reads this, she'll know. We were together for about 10 months. It started off like one of those whirlwind romances where everything feels too good to be true. We met at a bar trivia night. She knew obscure 80s metal bands, I knew way too much about serial killers.
It felt like fate. Or at least like fate had a messed up sense of humor. The first red flag?
She once joked, totally straight-faced, that if I ever cheated on her, she'd run me over with her car.
I laughed. Nervously. She didn't. But we all say dumb things when we're joking, right? Except she wasn't really joking. I just didn't know that yet. At the time, I chalked it up to her being passionate. Intense, I told my friends. She's just intense.
That's what I kept telling myself every time she'd go cold for a day, then act like nothing happened.
Or when she'd accidentally break something of mine during an argument.
I was in deep, and I didn't realize the ground was already cracking beneath me. The weird stuff started stacking up around month 6. I noticed my Spotify kept playing songs I never listened to, stuff like You Give Love a Bad Name and this creepy instrumental track that just sounded like slow, mechanical breathing. At first, I figured maybe my account had been hacked. I changed the password. It kept happening. Then I found a playlist titled Die Slow Kissmark under my recently played.
I opened it. Every single track was a weirdly specific message: every breath you take, I'll be watching you, before he cheats, and then some underground indie song where the only lyrics were Don't run, I've got time. I asked Carly if she'd been messing with my Spotify and she just smiled and said, that's what you get for letting me in your heart. And your email. I thought she was being flirty.
Like a tech-savvy weirdo with a twisted sense of humor.
But my gut was already tying itself into knots. I ignored it, though. Like an idiot.
Looking back, it was the beginning of her escalating.
It wasn't about music. It was about control. And I was too emotionally invested to see it.
One night, random Tuesday, nothing special, I came home from work and found a dead cat on my doorstep.
It wasn't ours. We didn't have a cat. At first I thought maybe it was just a horrible accident, some stray that got hit by a car and someone placed it there out of guilt.
I was trying to make any sense of it that wasn't my girlfriend is sending me a message with a corpse. But the thing is, it was placed too perfectly.
Right on the mat. Like it was meant to be a little welcome home surprise. I called Carly. Told her what I found. Her response? Silence for a second. Then, did it look peaceful, or like it suffered? I froze. I asked what the hell she meant. She said, just wondering if it reminded you of anything. Maybe what happens when someone forgets how to be loyal. I should have ended it right then and there. Should have blocked her, packed a bag, and vanished. But part of me still thought I could fix things. That she was hurting, not dangerous. God, I was wrong. I finally did it. Told Carly we needed to talk. That I wasn't happy. That something between us felt off, and I couldn't ignore it anymore.
We were in my apartment, sitting across from each other on the couch.
She was eating a burrito. I was trying not to puke from anxiety. I said, I think we should take some space. I don't feel safe, and before I could finish the sentence, she full-on slapped me across the face. With the burrito. I wish I was joking. Refried beans, hot sauce, shredded cheese, all of it exploded across my cheek like some Taco Bell grenade. Then she screamed. Loud. Like horror movie loud. She accused me of cheating, I wasn't, said I was gaslighting her, I wasn't, then grabbed my keys off the counter and ran out the door before I could stop her. I stood there, covered in spicy beef and bean paste, wondering how the hell I got here. I was a normal guy. I worked in IT. I did my taxes early. I had renter's insurance. And I was dating a woman who treated burritos like melee weapons. I thought that was the worst it would get. It wasn't. So flash forward 2 days.
I changed the locks, blocked her number, took screenshots of the weird stuff for just-in-case purposes.
I was finally trying to be smart. Finally putting space between us. And then I made a mistake. I went to Walgreens. I was picking up melatonin and Band-Aids. I still had a cut on my arm from when Carly chucked a ceramic mug at me during what I now refer to as the burrito incident. I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I should have been. I was walking to my car, minding my business, and that's when I heard the screech. Tires. Fast. I turned, and there she was. Carly. Driving my car. She must have stolen the spare key from my place before I locked her out. Her eyes were wide, her face frozen in this weird, calm rage. Like she wasn't even mad, just on a mission. She gunned it. I dropped the bag and ran. Cut through the back of the Walgreens, hopped over a planter, and found myself sprinting down this narrow alley with a tall-ass wooden fence on one side and the back of an apartment complex on the other. The fence was too high to climb. The alley dead-ended into a trash bin. I turned around, heart slamming in my ears, thinking this is it. This is how I die murdered by my ex in a pharmaceutical parking lot wearing gym shorts and a Game of Thrones hoodie. And then, she stopped. Just braked. Stared at me from the driver's seat. And smiled. The next morning, I'm at work, trying to hold it together. I barely slept. My legs were sore from sprinting for my life. I was half convinced it was all some insane dream until my phone lit up with an unknown number. I shouldn't have answered. But curiosity? It's a disease. I pick up and all I hear is her voice, cheerful as hell. You looked like a sexy cheetah last night. I didn't even know how to respond. I just stood there in the supply closet with a box of printer toner in my hands, heart pounding. She giggled and said, "Your form was amazing. I almost didn't want to hit you. You looked too good running away." Too good. Running away. From her car. I hung up without saying a word. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the toner. Black powder exploded across the floor like smoke from a cartoon bomb. And I stood there in it, shaking, breathing hard, covered in stress sweat and printer guts. That's when I realized, this wasn't about a bad breakup anymore. This was about survival. Carly didn't miss me. She didn't want closure. She wanted a reaction. I finally went to the police. I brought everything, screenshots of the creepy playlist, texts from unknown numbers saying things like "see you when you sleep" and "hope your brakes work today," even a pic of the dented dumpster in that alley where I barely dodged death. I sat down with this older officer, looked like the type who tells fishing stories even during murder investigations. I explained everything, laid it out as calmly as I could. At first, he just smirked. Said something like, "Sounds like a bad breakup, son. Maybe she's just blowing off steam." I wanted to scream. But instead, I pulled out my phone and played him the voicemail. The one Carly left at 3:27 a.m., whispering, "You don't have to be scared of dying. You won't feel anything." His smirk disappeared. He paused the recording. Rewound it. Played it again. Then he asked me to email it to him and told me to wait here. When he came back, he looked different. More alert. More worried. Turns out Carly had a history. Not enough to convict her of anything, but enough to flag her. 2 restraining orders. 1 psychiatric hold. And an ex-boyfriend who moved across the country and changed his name. So here's the scene, I'm finally starting to breathe again. Police took the report seriously, gave me a case number, even said they'd keep an eye out. I installed cameras. Changed my locks again. Took a few days off work. My sister, bless her, came to stay with me for a weekend. Just for support, some normalcy, and also because she didn't trust me not to get murdered alone. We're watching TV, eating popcorn, the vibe is chill. Then. Knock knock knock. Not the door. The window. We both freeze. My sister looks at me like, "That's not normal, right?" I already know. My stomach drops.
I grab my phone and head to the front door, where I can peek through the peephole.
She's back. Carly.
Standing in my yard at 10:43 p.m., barefoot, holding a bottle of wine and what I swear was one of my old t-shirts, wearing it.
Like it was some casual date night. She starts yelling. I miss you. Let me in. I brought Merlot. I'm normal now. My sister freaks. Starts filming.
Carly notices, throws the wine bottle at the porch light, misses, and laughs.
This maniac laughed. I called the cops again.
By the time they arrived, she was gone. Slipped away like some suburban cryptid. The officer told me, if she comes back, don't engage.
Just document everything. He said it like this was common.
Like I had joined some silent club of men being hunted by their exes. It had been quiet for a few days.
Too quiet.
I started thinking maybe it was over. Maybe the wine bottle porchlight showdown was her last hurrah.
Maybe she was finally gone. Then I came home from work one night. My door was locked. Nothing seemed off.
I stepped inside, dropped my keys on the counter, and turned toward the hallway to my bedroom.
That's when I saw it. Her shoes. By the couch. Lined up neatly. Like she lived there. My heart flatlined. And then I heard it. The shower. Running.
I stood there, frozen. Every horror movie I ever watched came rushing back like a trauma montage. I grabbed the heaviest thing nearby, a cast iron skillet, thanks, past me, and crept toward the bathroom like a discount John Wick.
The door was open a crack. Steam billowed out. And then she stepped out. Wearing my hoodie. Smiling. Like we were dating again. I didn't say a word.
Just backed away, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911 right in front of her.
She shrugged. Said, you can't prove I broke in.
I have a toothbrush here.
The cops showed up fast. She didn't resist.
Just walked out calmly, as if she was late for brunch.
No arrest. Just another report. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face in the steam. That smile. Like she'd already won something I didn't understand.
After the shower incident, I broke. I called my boss, told him I needed a leave of absence.
Told my landlord I was breaking the lease.
I sold most of my furniture on Facebook Marketplace in one weekend and packed whatever I could fit into a rented SUV.
New job, new apartment, new city, 3 hours away.
I didn't tell anyone where I was going except my sister and my new employer.
I even used a P.O. box to forward my mail.
It felt like witness protection, except I was hiding from a woman who thought love and murder were the same emotion. The first few days were bliss.
Quiet. Peaceful. I could breathe again. I went jogging without looking over my shoulder. I even smiled. Real smiles, not the kind you fake so people don't ask if you're okay. And then, 5 days in, I got a postcard. It was in my mailbox. No stamp. No return address. Just a glossy card with a picture of my apartment building on the front. Not a stock image. Not a drawing. A photo. Taken from across the street. On the back, in handwriting I knew too well, it said, "You always did pick cute places. See you soon, Kismark."
I dropped it right there on the sidewalk. Just stood there, cars passing behind me, holding my breath like maybe I could disappear if I just didn't move.
How? How did she find me? I hadn't posted anything. No forwarding address. No trail. But somehow, she knew. It wasn't just obsession anymore. It was skill.
I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off in my new apartment.
It wasn't paranoia. It was instinct.
The kind of gut feeling that tells you someone's been in your space when you weren't looking.
At first, I told myself I was just being dramatic.
It's a new place, new city, new life. I was adjusting. But the weird stuff started to pile up. I noticed that the bathroom light was on when I knew I had turned it off before leaving for work. The garbage can had been emptied, even though I hadn't taken it out.
And the weirdest thing?
My bed had been made. It wasn't perfectly neat, but the sheets had been pulled tight, and the pillows arranged just slightly differently than I left them.
At first, I thought I was losing it. Maybe I was just tired.
Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me, convincing me that Carly was somehow following me even though I'd blocked her from everything.
Then one night, I came home late after a meeting.
I opened the door, stepped inside, and felt it, the presence.
Like someone had been there, just moments before. My skin crawled. I checked the camera feed from my front door. Nothing. No one.
It was just a dark, empty hallway.
But then, I opened the fridge.
There was a new bottle of wine sitting on the middle shelf. Red, expensive, the kind I always bought but never left in my fridge after I moved.
I froze. I hadn't bought that bottle. And I definitely hadn't left it there. I walked into my bedroom. The drawers. Open.
Clothes shuffled around. The window was cracked open a few inches, like someone had left in a hurry.
She'd been here.
And this time, she hadn't just watched me. She'd touched my things. She'd been living in my apartment right under my nose.
But the worst part? I knew she had to have been watching me.
She knew my exact routine, my schedule down to the minute. At that point, I was done pretending I wasn't in danger. I spent a small fortune installing security systems, motion sensors, door alarms, the works.
I had panic buttons set up in every room of my apartment.
I knew it wasn't enough, but it was all I could do to feel like I had some control over my life again. I also started carrying a small, concealed taser when I went out just in case. I didn't want to, but the thought of her popping up again, this time inside my apartment, not just lurking around outside, terrified me.
The whole city felt like it was closing in.
I couldn't even go to work without feeling like she was watching, waiting.
But the next move she made?
That one took the whole stalker game to another level. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was running late, as usual. I hadn't checked my phone until I was halfway to work. As I grabbed my coffee, I noticed something weird, a text message. "You looked great this morning in your navy blue shirt.
8:07 a.m. sharp.
I'll see you at the corner around 5:30.
Love, Carly." I almost choked on my coffee. At first, I thought it was some twisted prank.
But when I looked at the timestamp, I realized she had been there.
Outside my apartment.
Watching me leave at exactly 8:07 a.m., and then she had messaged me.
I was no longer safe at home. The worst part?
When I got to work, I checked the elevator camera footage. She was waiting for me in the lobby. Just standing there, pretending to look at her phone, but her eyes were locked on me.
She knew the exact time I'd show up.
I felt my blood run cold.
I couldn't keep running. It was getting worse. No matter what I did, new locks, new job, new city, Carly always found me.
I couldn't breathe without her shadow in the corner of my vision. I needed to end this, one way or another. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went to her apartment. I showed up unannounced after work, hoping I'd catch her off guard, hoping I could get some answers from the woman who had been stalking me for months. When she opened the door, she wasn't surprised.
She wasn't scared. She looked like she'd been expecting me. "You finally came."
She smiled, the kind of smile that told me she thought she had one.
I asked her how she found me. What she wanted from me. Why she couldn't just leave me alone. She listened. She didn't interrupt.
She just stared at me like I was the one who had done something wrong. Then she said the words that made my stomach turn.
"You left me, you know. You're the one who walked away. You think I didn't notice?"
I didn't know how to respond.
The nerve. I had been the one who left. I had been the one running for my life. But to her, none of that mattered. She wasn't seeing the reality. She was seeing what she wanted to see. To her, I was the one who betrayed her, who abandoned her. The girl who went crazy because she loved me too much. She reached out and put her hand on my arm, and for a split second, I almost forgot how dangerous she was. Almost. But then she whispered, "You can't leave me. We're meant to be together. Don't you see?" I stepped back, feeling my heart beat like it was going to explode. The air was thick with tension, and I could see the insanity in her eyes. The same eyes I'd been avoiding for months. I told her that it was over. That she needed help. That I couldn't keep running. I was done. She just smiled again, that cold, dangerous smile, and said, "You don't get it. I'll always find you. You'll always be mine." After our confrontation, I thought maybe, just maybe, she had finally understood. Maybe the message had gotten through. I left her apartment, heart racing, still unsure of what had just happened. It felt like a weird, twisted chapter that I should have closed a long time ago, but my body refused to let go of the tension. For the next few days, nothing happened. No texts. No postcards. No random appearances. Just silence. At first, I thought it was a relief. I thought she had given up. But then, that silence became unbearable. It was like I was waiting for something. Waiting for her next move. Every creak of my floorboards, every shadow in my peripheral vision, made my skin crawl. I kept thinking, she's still out there. She's still watching. Then, one morning, I woke up to an odd feeling in the pit of my stomach. Something was off. I walked into my kitchen to find a note on the counter. It was handwritten, just like the postcards. No signature, but I knew immediately it was her. The note said, "I'll always be with you. You can't escape me. And you'll never forget me, because I'm inside you now." I laughed it off at first, thinking it was just another one of her sick games. But then I turned on the light. And that's when I saw it. On the counter, next to the note, was my taser. It was gone. It was still in its holster, but the button had been pressed. The battery was drained. I stared at it for a second, my heart hammering in my chest. No way. No freaking way she. I turned, and there, sitting perfectly on my couch, just like she had always been there, was a single hairpin. The kind that only Carly used to wear. I didn't recognize it at first. But then, like a punch in the gut, I realized it. She had been inside again. She had been here while I was asleep. And for the first time, I knew. It wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I thought I had escaped. I thought all of it was behind me, the stalking, the manipulation, the endless fear. But that hairpin, the drained taser, the note, it was clear now. Carly wasn't done. She was never going to be done. The weight of it all hit me harder than I expected. I was out of options. I had tried everything, changing cities, getting the police involved, locking my doors, securing my apartment, but she always found a way to slip through. It wasn't just about her obsession with me anymore. It was about power. About control. I couldn't keep running. So, I made a decision. I was going to confront her one last time. Not for closure, but to make her see, to make her understand that I wasn't her prisoner anymore. This wasn't love. This was something much darker, and I was done being a part of it. I found her apartment. She wasn't there. No surprise. But I did find something. On the kitchen counter, beside a pile of unopened letters, was a photograph. It was a picture of me standing at my front door in my old apartment, just days before I left. The photograph was taken from a corner in my building's lobby. My blood ran cold. The worst part? In the background of the photo, I could see my own reflection in the glass of the door. She had been there. Watching. Waiting. I called the cops again, told them everything. This time, I was certain. I could hear it in their voices, they were taking it seriously. They arrived that afternoon, went inside her apartment, and didn't find her. It was like she disappeared. But they did find something, a recording device hidden behind the mirror in her bedroom. It had been running for months. As it turns out, Carly had been documenting every moment of my life for longer than I realized. She knew my habits, my routines, the exact times I'd leave my apartment and when I'd return. She had infiltrated my world completely. I still don't know how she knew where I moved to. I don't know if she was tracking me all along, or if something else was at play. But I do know this, I had finally broken free. The cops told me I was safe, that they'd put a tracker on her car, and that they would find her. They found her 2 days later. She had disappeared, vanished without a trace. I've moved again, still trying to escape the shadows of my past, but part of me knows. Carly is still out there. Somewhere. And in some twisted way, I'll always be hers.